Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're doing well today. Appreciate you being here this afternoon. And so we start something different tonight, a little different. Um, and I have preached on the seven sayings of the cross before over the years, but I've had a little book that's been just laying out. You see, there's several books behind me laying out, but they're for different reasons. But and then you can't really see the other big pile that I've got that I hadn't put up yet. But I've come across a little book, and like I said, it's called "How to Live Through a Bad Day." And it's been laying out where I could see it for several months now, and I picked it up and glanced at it and kind of knew the topic of it, but I just never did put it up. It just stayed out, um, and so I began to look at it a little more, and I just kind of impressed on me and spoke to me to share with you the kind of the teachings of this book. It just takes the seven sayings of the cross from Jesus and applies them to our everyday life on how to get through a bad day. And unfortunately, contrary to what many um, of the health and wealth guys out there say, bad days are real. We have bad days. I would say that most of us, if we're fair and honest, would say that the good days do outweigh the bad days. But the bad days, when they come, sometimes are really really bad. And so I want to kind of take and just paraphrase some of the teachings. Again, I'm just telling you up front it's a book I've read. It's not there'll be my original thoughts flung in. But as I've said before, if it's good, I give credit to the book. If it's bad, I take the blame. So I don't want anybody to say I'm plagiarizing or stealing Jack Hayford's book. I'm telling you up front that this thought came from a book, but I believe it's worthy uh, of uh, of sharing. And I think there's some teaching here. I'd never. I'm telling you, I had the whole idea comes from the book. I had never thought about again these sayings, the things Jesus said on the cross, and taking and applying them over to the idea of when I'm having a bad day. Christ was having the ultimate bad day. And these are the things that he said that day, that he said from the cross. And so, as he was having his bad day, he shared these words. And I believe there's, again, I've preached them before, but not really from this angle. And so, as we look at them, I hope they'll help you. And again, most of us remember these sayings, and so it won't take a lot of hard memory work on our part. Just be again, just like for me, kind of reapplying them and using them what we already know, and maybe a little bit of a different way. And so we'll start with the Gospel of Luke, the 23rd chapter, and the first saying, Luke chapter 23, verse 34, one that, again, we all know the statement. We're just going to think about it in a different way, and that is, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. One of the greatest mind benders of all history, that someone totally innocent going through what Christ was going through would say, Father, forgive them. It is an absolute um, mind blowing statement. But there's so much that you and I can benefit from in thinking about those words. And so the first thing that we have to do, first step, first piece of the puzzle in dealing with a bad day is to forgive those who ruin your day, those who ruin your life. And let's be honest, most of the time when we're having a bad day, it is somebody who has caused the issue, who has brought that about. And so here we have Jesus Christ, the Son of God, the sinless Son of God on a cross. And again, the first words out of his mouth are some of the most precious, some of the most um, sweet words. Again, practically everybody, even not in church, knows these words, and that is, Father, forgive them. So again, we have our first lesson for dealing with a bad day. Forgive the one that caused it, or the group that caused it. Maybe more than one that is causing your bad day. Again, it is normal. I mean, first thing I'd say is, we all know it's normal. We'd like to say it's not, but we have bad days. We have, sometimes it's things that happen. Sometimes, it's a flat tire on the car won't crank, or something like that. But I think more likely than not, most of the time, our bad days are the results of something that someone has done to us, or something someone has not done that we expected them to do, or something they did late that they didn't do it on time. Those kind of things. Somebody said something that hurt. Um, Somebody has took something from us. All kinds of ways that people actually hurt us. And as we think about that, sometimes it's really hard to be like Jesus and say, forgive them. But again, these are his words at the most brutal moment in history. And again, remember this: this wasn't, people hurt us accidentally. They may say something they didn't realize was going to hurt, or do something that they didn't realize was going to hurt. But everything that happened to Jesus Christ was intentional. It was well thought out. It was well planned. And even though they planned to hurt Christ, they planned what they were doing, he still said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And so, if we're going to be like Christ and learn to get through these kinds of days, we have to learn to forgive those that are messing up our day. Maybe even more than our day, maybe messing up our week or month or life, even. We have to learn to forgive it. And again, what they did was intentional, but Jesus says they don't know what they're doing. By that, I mean, they knew what they were doing. They knew exactly the actions they were taking, but they didn't realize the grand scheme of everything that was going on. And most of the time, if we look, those that are hurting us, they really don't realize the depth. They don't realize what's going on. They don't realize how they're hurting you. They don't see things from your perspective. You don't see things from their perspective. And so Jesus teaches us the first step is, again, to forgive those that are messing up, causing us to have a bad day. One of my favorite statements, and I'm not telling you I've got this mastered, but and I don't know who made it. I know who I heard it from, but I know that it was not original with them. I heard it, well, I'll give that much credit. I heard it from Dr. James Merritt, but I don't know who said it originally. Said that bitterness is the one thing that does more damage to the vessel that holds it than the one it's poured on. Think about that for a moment. Bitterness does more damage to the vessel that holds it than to the one it's poured on. Bitterness does more damage to the person who's holding it than to the person who you're bitter at. And so, like I said, holding a grudge, those kind of things. The person messed up our day. We hold a grudge and fail to forgive, and then it messes up more days. We hold that grudge, we fail to forgive, and then we see them in the grocery store and duck down another aisle or won't go to family gatherings, those kind of things. And so, again, forgiveness is critical to making bad days better. And forgiveness all comes from, again, being thankful to God for forgiving us. That He forgave me, so we forgive others. I've been forgiven. Christ forgave me, and so therefore forgive others. And if not, I'm going to, carry that grudge. I'm going to carry that bitterness. I'm going to be angry. And again, it's going to do more. It's going to mess up more than probably just that day. It's going to mess up an extended period of time. And then what happens is I get angry and I won't forgive person A. I won't even use a name. I'll just say person A. Well, if I hold on to that long enough, what happens? Um, I end up not only being angry, mad towards person A, but anybody in person A's orbit. I end up being mad at person A's spouse. I end up not having anything to do with person A's children, and person A's other friends. If you're going to be friends with person A, then I'm not going to have anything to do with you. And eventually that starts, it just has the tendency, the potential to grow and to mess up more than just the day that we're in, the day that the original day, and that's what's so dangerous about failing to forgive and failing to practice what Christ has shown us and what Christ did for us and what He modeled for us as He practiced forgiveness. Again, it has. There's been different studies done that show the excuse me, the physical damage that is done to the human body when we fail to forgive, when we carry a grudge in our heart. I remember, and I wish I would have. Sometimes I think all of us look back and have regrets. One of my regrets is I remember reading somewhere one time that said something to the effect of like 70% of people in mental institutions could be released if they would just forgive. That they're carrying a grudge, and it has literally driven them crazy, driven them to the point basically of no return. And so the first lesson that we learn, and a brief lesson today because it's very straightforward, is to forgive anyone, everyone that you think you feel like has hurt you, has offended you, has wronged you, has disappointed you, done anything to ruin your life. I worked with a guy one time. I never will forget it as long as I live. I don't guess. One morning, long story. I'll make it short. Our boss had done something, or something had come up. Anyway, this coworker of mine, speaking of our boss, says he just did that to ruin my day. And, yeah, that's it. He got up this morning thinking, how can I ruin your day? And again, it's a long story, but you don't need all the details too, because it's really irrelevant. But, the thing is, what had caused all this was something bad in our boss's life that was messing up his day, that had trickled down. The guy didn't see that. He didn't see the problem that our boss was dealing with, in the situation he had on his hands. What he saw was his situation, and that in his mind, his day had been ruined. And so, there's all kind, and all of us have been through experiences like that, where we, in hindsight, later on, we realize, we didn't know the whole story, or it wasn't as we perceived it to be, and we flat out we were the ones who were wrong sometimes. And so, forgiveness is the key to having joy, to living in peace, and the liberty, because that's what Jesus did. We're being like Christ when we practice forgiveness. And so, my challenge to you this morning is or this evening, is to think about that for a moment. What is there somebody in your life right now that, if you see them or you think about them, or they come to mind, um, it ruins your day? You see them in the store. If you're forced to be in a gathering with them, in a room with them, does it ruin your day? Is there somebody in your life that needs forgiveness? Someone in your life who needs to experience forgive? Maybe they were genuinely wrong. I'm not saying they weren't. But I remind you that we were genuinely wrong. It was our sin that put Christ on the cross when he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And he forgave us. Is there someone in our life, someone who is in our mind ruining our days, that we need to forgive? I'd encourage you today. And you say, I can't forgive them. Okay, hey, been there. I've been hurt. I've had people that, and I know how hard it is to forgive. I'm human just like you are, and sometimes it takes a move of God. Uh, I just can't say in my heart, okay, I forgive. We have to pray and ask God to help us to remove that pain, help us to have freedom from it, and be able to forgive. But the question this morning is, will you take the first step? Will you take the first move towards forgiveness? Nobody, you say, well, they hadn't asked me to forgive them. When Jesus said, Father, forgive them, nobody had asked him. Nobody had asked him for forgiveness. He just said, Father, forgive them. And so let me challenge you this evening to begin to pray. Take baby steps towards forgiveness. And I promise you, based on the authority of God's word this evening, that your life will be better. Your days will be better. Have a great day, great rest of your day, I guess I should say. And we will see you here next Wednesday night.